Something impossible? The King has completed one of his toughest missions yet and brought the Impossible Whopper to Cayman. The Impossible Whopper, just like the regular Whopper, but made from plants. Brand new on island and only at Burger King. 7 Mile Beach, Waterfront, Walker's Road, and Red Bay.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by Ropers Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Products and services for better public health. Green Turtle. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today. And the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure. Visit energy.gov.ky/competition to win a home energy makeover worth up to $20,000.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Folks, I hope and I trust that everyone had a peaceful, restful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may be your own. If you're celebrating a birthday today, want to wish you a happy birthday. If you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday. And for those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times. I'm going to dispense with some of my opening remarks this morning and introduce my guest because we had a little late start this morning. So it is my pleasure to have in the studio, as usual. Today's the date that has been set aside for the official opposition to be on the show. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning the leader of the opposition, Honorable Ard McLean, also in the studio with us. No stranger to the studio, but sometimes a stranger. Attorney Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, and also in the studio with us, he's no stranger either to For the Record, Mr. Sam Jackson. Folks, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Good morning, O.C. Thanks for having us, and just
Brown, the triumph of faith.
Good morning to the broader Cayman Island. I didn't come last Friday, right?
No,
that's true. The days just merge right into to one, and we don't even know which day it is sometimes. This morning, we're in the company of learned people, eh?
Yes.
And we are, sometimes we have to give them way to opine on these things that they're more like doctors, make decisions for life or death. And there are some issues that are coming up in the Legislative Assembly. Mm-hmm. And when they ask if they could come on to get some points out on these matters, I gladly agreed with that yesterday evening. So we know that there is a new legal services bill being proposed. I should say, O.C., that my political career has been taken up by this legal services bill. I first came in contact with it in 2006 when it was then proposed. I suspect there has been about 10 proposals thus far and maybe 30 iterations thereof, or more. So it's extremely confusing to a lot of people, but it needs to get right. The one thing that we all agree with is that the current legal practitioners bill of 30 odd years needs to be revised. It needs to be updated. But the key is, the rule of thumb in politics is you don't disagree with the principle, you disagree with, you challenge the methods being used to get to where we need to get. And the legal practitioners bill has some serious consequences for the country economically and development-wise for our own people. And if we don't get it as close as right as we possibly can, we could have some serious problems, because as it is right now, Caymanians are not getting opportunities. We are outsourcing the laws that we painstakingly put in place for the benefit of Caymanians, and they're being practiced elsewhere, and we need to make sure that our reputation and the economy of this country benefits as a result of it. So, whilst we're not totally against the bill needs some tweaking, and it depends on who we talk to, because those who sees benefit therefrom are opposing the way we would like to see it tweaked, and that's fine, because that's what politics is about. But certainly my responsibility is to protect this country from all foes, whether they're domestic or foreign. And so these young people, they're young to me. It is Sammy, Jackson, and Teresa Lewis, as we know she come from Bodden Town, but pick Kieran. So, over to you guys.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take the commercial breaks, and when we return, we're going to ask you, just for the benefit of our listening audience, to give us a sort of a history of where, how we have arrived at this point in time, and maybe some of the history of the previous failures at getting amendments or getting a new bill in place as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
In the 1770s, the British demand for cotton was in full swing, and as cotton prices rose, the British West Indies became key to the British prosperity, with the Cayman Islands seeing a short boom in the cotton industry. The peak of the cotton trade was between 1802 to 1804, with approximately 25 small ships transporting cotton between Grand Cayman and Jamaican ports. Vessels returning from Jamaica brought more slaves in return, which reflected the growing population and the growth in the plantation economics of Grand Cayman. At its peak, Cayman was producing between 40 to 60 tons of cotton per year, and in 1802 there were 545 slaves divided among 88 owner families. The cotton trade was a relatively short-lived economic boom, as the U.S., due to mass slave labor, proved to be able to produce cotton on mass scales, pushing the West Indies out of the cotton industry.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Rotary Central Music Extravaganza tickets are moving like Blackie's Grape Nut Ice Cream on a sizzling Saturday night in Cayman Brac. Get your tickets now from Rotary Central members, Rotary ticket sellers, online at eventpro.ky. Funky Tangs, Ale Thompson's Home Depot, The Bar at Mango Tree Restaurant, Seabird's Bar at Eastern Avenue. In Cayman Brac, Rotary Club of Cayman Brac and Tashara Lewis. Bar Camp on the Run in Red Bay. Gas stations island-wide. Get ready to be a winner. Stand your chance to win $40,000. Second prize, $4,000, 6 $1,000 prizes, and more. Your golden ticket, your golden chance. Rotary Central and the Music Extravaganza 2020. Innovators behind the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund and the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Your tickets support over 70 Rotary community projects, making every ticket a winner. Rotary Central, not-for-profit number 232. Your ticket, your chance. Your contribution to a better community through Rotary. Rotary opens opportunity.
Stronger, wider, higher, lighter. The all-new Ford Ranger Raptor. Powerfully built with a 2.0 diesel Panther engine and 210 horsepower. Modern with leather interior, an 8-inch touchscreen, Sync 3 technology, and power features. Tough, built to handle the off-road with 4-wheel drive, terrain modes, and a 10-speed automatic transmission. Coming early October to Vamped Motors, Walkers Road. To find out more and to test drive the bold new Ford Ranger Raptor, visit Vamped Motors, Walkers Road, or call 949-8288.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers, your neighborhood store. Value, integrity. Ropers also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. 122 Industrial Way, 949-2511, or email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers and stay prepared. 949-2511. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
No, man. My bills seem huge again, and I don't know what to do about it. I can look some help.
We can help. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure has teamed up with CUC to give you the chance to win a home energy makeover worth up to $20,000. Not only will this lower your utility bills, it will increase your home's value. We are also giving away 8 home energy audits worth up to $1,900 each. Open to all homeowners in Grand Cayman. Entry is now open via www.energy.gov.ky/competition. Proudly sponsored by CEL Cooling, Mitsubishi, Phone Pros, Cooling Pros, and more. Use less, save more. Enter today.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Arden McLean, Attorney, Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, Attorney, Mr. Sammy Jackson as well. We're talking about the Legal Services Bill, and Ms. Teresa is going to give us a history of the Legal Practitioners Bill. to the point of where we are today, Ms. Teresa.
And I'll try and be. Thank you very much, OC. Thank you very much, Arden, for having Sammy and I. This morning, the ALPA has asked us to share some thoughts and express their views about how they feel about this particular piece of legislation. Thanks. Before I even go any further, I'd also like to thank the audience for giving us this opportunity to share this discussion with them. And if I may, I'd like to open with a comment from Zora Neale Hurston, Mules and Men. Mouths don't empty themselves unless ears are sympathetic and knowing. And by that, she was suggesting that people are unwilling to talk too much about issues unless they know that they have an empathetic ear. And in this particular context, leadership. Before I even decided to assist with this particular matter, because this started in 2003, and I asked the question. I've been talking about this forever. What more can I say that hasn't been said already? And there was one youngster that said to me, "Well, Miss Teresa, we're now listening to the radio as well. We may not be our parents, we cannot be our parents, but please give us a chance also to hear what you have to say." And this is one of the primary reasons why I'm on the talk show today, because this is not about me, it's not about ALPA, it's about our children, what they inherit going forward. There is broad support for this piece of legislation, but I don't think that there is broad support. There's broad support to the extent that we know something needs to be done. But what is some of the major concerns with this particular bill? You will see that goes back as far as 2003 when I started to set out the chronology. People are still very, 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 very upset with a lot of things because they feel that it really doesn't represent Caymanian interest. So we do need to get something passed. We do need to get it done quick as possible. But the areas where there is still significant heated contention, we can exclude that from this particular bill and move forward with that in the future, especially given COVID today, where you see in a number of UK and US firms that people are being laid off. Cayman is usually the last to kind of get on board and to see how this is being affected here. So for me, I would prefer, one, that we have a consensus about what we can agree to be passed. 2, the contentious issues, we leave them for another day. 3, we do an evaluation of where we are with COVID to see how this is going to affect the community and move forward. So in 2003, essentially, there was a preliminary bill that was prepared and sent to the Attorney General for his review. And so, OC, I got, like Sammy, I got a whole section of my library full of things with this. So I had to jump up to find this morning. And there was, and I'm not going to go into too many details because this, like I said, started from 2003 when the Law Society prepared a draft for the Attorney General for his review. And even then, this whole concept of affiliate and people who have common ownership was being addressed. So we'll go right, and then we had an iteration in August 2003, 2004, another draft bill was designed and by the Attorney General this time and the Chief Justice. 2005, you had a more in-depth review of the bill. And then January 2007, a bill was circulated for public consultation, and it had been redrafted several times then to take into account the judiciary, the Law Society, and the Bar Association at the time. And there's some effort now that we now have a fused bar. So it's what was the Caymanian Bar Association and the Law Society that's now morphed into one entity. On February 28, 2007, you had the representatives from the Law Society and the CBA. They made some oral representations to the Law Reform Commission. And then you had further submissions in 2007. The Law Commission, submitted further reports to the AG. In August 2007, it was circulated for public consultation. And then in March 2008, the AG made an invitation to the commission the Law Society, the Bar Association, to appear at a cabinet meeting. And Arden, this is probably where you may want to, have some input about that when it was when folks actually came to the cabinet to have that kind of conversation with you. But even then, the main issues were persons resident in the islands and those resident in foreign jurisdictions, persons practicing Cayman law in foreign jurisdictions, not having any relationship with the Cayman Islands. How do you regulate those persons? What will happen, to the Caymanian, the average Caymanian lawyer, if foreign folks are allowed to practice law in other jurisdictions, and whether or not, the competition would be such that Caymanian lawyers wouldn't have the opportunity to practice Cayman law. There was also the issue of potential misconduct by attorneys practicing the Cayman law overseas. How are you going to regulate them? There was also the concern about misconduct locally with the lawyers here, and how people had the view that they always get away with bad behavior, abusive behavior. When we had the Bill of Rights in 2009, people had concerns about behavior even then, and they're saying, well, where is the code of conduct in order to regulate our behavior? And the other issue, which is also in this particular bill, is why is it lawyers in the private sector should be regulated and lawyers with the AG's office should not be regulated? What is good for the geese is good for the gander. So even then, this is going back from 2003 up to 2008 when Arden and the cabinet met to have this conversation. At the end of the day, the Law Commission then were invited to conduct a particular study about the Legal Practitioners Bill and determine a way forward. These were the concerns they had from September 2005, 15 years ago. The eligibility of persons to practice law in the Cayman Islands. Should attorneys at law who practice the law of the islands outside the islands, should they be able to obtain practicing certificates? And that's another issue that we have with this particular piece of legislation. And this is 15 years ago, and it's right back again. Whether all attorneys, including government attorneys, should be subject to the same form of discipline. Again, contentious. Whether all attorneys should be called to the bar and have practicing certificates, the composition of a complaints committee, and the composition of a disciplinary tribunal. So,
okay, this is a good time for us to take a break. We have to go to our 8 o'clock news. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
I'm looking for the perfect holiday gift, something that everyone will love.
Well, the holiday season is all about food. So what about free groceries?
Yeah, I want free groceries.
Well, with the Foster's card, you can load any dollar amount and shop at all Foster's supermarket and Priced Right locations. Plus, you can easily reload your Foster's card.
Great, that's my present sorted.
Pick up your Foster's cards in store or online at fosters.ky and give the gift of free groceries this holiday season. Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a not-for-profit, member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. We have an all-in expense ratio of less than 1%, over 20,000 members, and $490 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s, and today we are still strong, secure, and are here for our employees and employers employers alike. If you would like to join or require further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. Customs and Border Control Service is launching a new automated call flow system, which will include a customer support center. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has more.
Welcome to the Cayman Islands Customs and Border Control Service.
The objective is to enhance trade and facilitate travel while improving the customer experience. And with that in mind, the new system will roll out in 2 phases. The first changes the main legacy customs admin number from 949-4579 to 649-4579, an automated call flow system, and involves a dedicated team specifically responsible for answering phone calls and responding to email inquiries. All of CBC's outstation phone numbers will now be automatically directed to the new system at 649-4579. At the end of this month, we see Phase 2, the launch of CBC's Customer Support Center.
Press 0 for CBC Customer Support Center.
Calls and emails will be handled by employees experienced in dealing with queries related to imports and exports, visitor extensions, travel, visas, and vessel info and extension queries. CBC Deputy Director Kevin Walton says they're pleased to be able to provide a more complete and robust customer support system to ensure queries or questions from valued customers are received, managed, and answered in a timely manner. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
If you need help with imports or using customs online systems, you can continue to email CBC at cbconlinesupport@gop.ky. Cayman Brac takes the top spot at this year's Spelling Bee competition. Here's CIGTV's Donna Bush.
Lehman Scott's high school student Tabitha Jacoby emerged as Cayman's best secondary school speller at the 37th Annual Lions Cup of Grand Cayman's Secondary Spelling Bee Championship that took place on Wednesday. After receiving her prizes, Tabitha said, quote, "I have been looking forward to this day for the past 4 years, and I'm thrilled that all of the hard work that I put into preparing for this competition has finally paid off."
And the Cayman Ministers Association is gearing up to hold its annual Cayman's National Day of Thanksgiving and Prayer on Monday, but it will take on a different format this time around.
Due to the COVID crisis, we're not able to meet like we usually meet at the town hall or glass house premises for this occasion. But I believe it is even of a greater paramount importance for us to focus in on this program this year because of the fact that God has been so good to us. For all of that, we just want to come together, remind Cayman of this meeting still going on. It will be live stream.
Speaking on Radio Cayman's Talk Today, Vice President of the Cayman Islands Ministers Association, Pastor Haylock, is encouraging everyone to tune in as he says there's much to be grateful for. The service will be carried live right here on Radio Cayman, or you can search for Pray Cayman on Facebook or YouTube. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has met 3 African Union envoys and thanked them for their concern about the fighting in Tigray, but said his government was trying to bring a criminal clique there to justice. He's previously turned down mediation offers. Hostilities are continuing in Tigray, but the northern region's capital, Mekelle, is said to be calm. Today's planned commemorations for Tamil Tiger rebels killed in Sri Lanka's civil war have been banned after a 5-year window in which they were allowed. Courts in the mainly Tamil north of the island imposed the prohibition on being petitioned by the new hardline Sinhalese nationalist government. Australia has described new Chinese tariffs on Australian wine as unfair and unwarranted. It's the latest Australian export sector to be targeted. Bilateral ties have been severely strained in recent months. The leading Russian opposition politician, Alexei Navalny, has called on the European Union to impose tough sanctions on Russian oligarchs and President Putin's circle, saying the country is run by criminals. He said European politicians should only recognise the results of next year's parliamentary elections if all candidates are allowed to participate.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Did you know that since May, in support of the COVID-19 Emergency Withdrawal Program, the Chamber Pension Plan leveraged IT and human resources to successfully review over 16,900 member applications, approve over 12,579 applications, and will pay over CI $143 million to our plan members. We are the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, and we're here for you. For further information regarding the Chamber Pension Plan, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Introducing the new Digicel Prime bundles, better than anything we've offered before, with more data than ever, more music on the music, more live sports on Sportsmax, more movies on Playgo, more video chats on BIP. With the new Digicel Prime bundles, it's never been easier to get more digital experiences, plus extra data. Get 50 gigabytes with a 7-day bundle. So much data, so much fun. Buy in My Digicel app today, the Caribbean's fastest mobile network. Digicel, better together.
Maintaining a strong mind and body through sports and general healthy living is a good course of action. But what about your spiritual man, your inner man? He has to be awakened, fed, exercised, strengthened, and led according to the will of God. So, have you heard the call? I'm evangelist Brother Joseph Joey Ebanks, and I'm inviting you to worship Wednesday and Thursday nights at 7:30. We are bringing the Word of God to our communities as Jesus commanded. Faith comes by hearing. So come and hear. Bring your own chair or simply park and listen to the Word of God from your vehicle, covering the Cayman Islands with the Word of God, one community at a time.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking. Change your life. Practicing forgiveness is a healthy habit.
As pastor and best-selling author Gary Chapman wrote in his book, The 5 Love Languages, How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate, forgiveness is not a feeling, it is a commitment. It is a choice to show mercy, not to hold the offense up against the offender. Forgiveness is an expression of love.
Change your thinking. Change your life.
Radio Cayman's Cayman Strong series was brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Radio Cayman's 89.9 FM. The quick look at weather. Current temperatures outside 83 degrees. Overnight lows expected around 78 degrees. Winds are currently coming in from the east-northeast at 14 miles per hour. Expect sunshine and cloudiness throughout the day. Current humidity is at 74%. Moderate northeasterly winds will continue across the Cayman area as a high-pressure system moves northwest of the Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the southwest. Currently, we are under high tide. Low tide takes place at 2:33 p.m. and high tide again at 7:40 p.m. Sunset at 5:44 p.m. Sunrise bright and early tomorrow at 6:42 a.m. Outlook is for similar weather conditions through Sunday morning.
For additional weather information, visit www.weather.gov.ky. As well, stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
At Subway, we want to express our sincere appreciation for your support this year. We're still here because of you. Because you took care of us during a difficult time, let us take care of you and your family this holiday season. It's been a stressful year. You don't need the stress of planning big holiday dinners or parties. Just give us a call. We'll make it easy and work with you to plan your special occasion. Enjoy our catering, boxes, gift certificates, and of course, our delicious cookies and new flavors. We thank you for supporting local. Subway, eat fresh.
Good morning to our drivers out on the road. I want to remind you to buckle up and be safe. Things have picked up a little bit on the east-west arterial as you head towards Lantern Point area and Prospect. Smooth flowing traffic there. However, things do begin to slow down between Lions Center Stretch and the Linford Pearson Highway. Clear moving traffic at Owen Roberts Drive. Stop and go traffic between C&B roundabouts on Huldah Avenue. Clear flowing traffic on Edward Street and Shedden Road. Stop and go traffic over by Godfrey Dixon Way. Clear flowing traffic coming in and out of the west. Taking a look at Butterfield roundabout. Smooth flowing traffic in and out of the industrial park area. No incidents reported at this time. Operator to Radio Cayman at 9.9 FM. The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Do you remember when 2020 was great?
I don't think it was
2020 vision, not the year.
right.
Make 2020 great again with Optical Outlook, the new West Bay store now open. With their designer frames and sunglasses, eye health has never looked so good. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today at Caymanian Village and now at Jake Scott Plaza in West Bay, offering premier eye care in Cayman for over 30 years. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Arden McLean, attorney, Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, attorney, Mr. Sammy Jackson. We're discussing the Legal Services Bill, and before we went to our 8 o'clock news, Ms. Teresa was giving us a history of the Legal Practitioners Bill and the varied attempts to have changes made to that or to replace it. Just some housekeeping. We're trying to really lay the foundation for the discussion, and as a result of that, we have decided to hold off on taking calls until we are at a stage where we can open the discussion, but it is important for us to lay the foundation for the discussion and for the calls before we open up the phone line. So, Ms. Teresa, I'm going to throw the mic back over to you.
Right, and I'll just take 5 minutes just to bottle this up and have Sam and Arden take over. But in a nutshell, the Law Commission's concern as at 2005, 15 years ago, are the same concerns that we have with this particular bill. And let me just quickly summarize what their concerns were in 2005. The absence of any substantial nexus between the non-resident attorney and the jurisdiction. Under the proposal by the legal associations, and by that they were referring to the Law Society at the time, the recognized law firm itself need not be substantially established in the Cayman Islands. This would have implications for future employment of graduates of the Cayman Islands Law School, Caymanian and non-Caymanian alike, as well as the potential for the development of brass plate law firms based in Cayman. The lack of supervisory and regulatory oversight Under the proposals at the time, misconduct by non-resident attorneys may go undeterred by the local authorities, as there is no provision for cross-border reporting by and to the regulatory oversight bodies in the various jurisdictions in which the non-resident attorney may be practicing. While the association suggested that the partners of recognized law firm, and you guys keep this in mind, recognized law firms, may be subject to discipline under the Code of Conduct of Associations for allowing the non-resident attorney who is suspended or struck off to continue in the firm's employment. There is no express obligations on the partners to report any misconduct or sanctions abroad. The Law Society proposed that non-residents who work for recognized firms should be able to obtain practicing certificates. And again, let me underscore, to be able to obtain practicing certificates, but provided no detailed reasons put up for in the instances if it's not allowed, and whether or not they would close down their overseas practices. The Law Society folks felt benefited certain firms, and I'm not going to name those firms, and I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to say that that's how folks felt.
That's fine.
Yeah, the implications for future employment of graduates of the law school. And in addition, there is the concern that the overseas firms with non-Cayman Islands lawyers divert that otherwise that would have been done by persons that hold practicing certificates in the Cayman Islands. So even then, these were the concerns that the Law Commission had, having heard the concerns expressed, iterations of drafting the various different bills and so on. And today, November 27th, 2020, we're back in the same place. So let me underscore what I started with the beginning. I broadly agree with having legislation that is definitely necessary. But those provisions that continue to give you high blood pressure, as my mom would say, leave them aside until we know how it's going to affect these islands, the economic effect. Let's have a proper assessment done, and let us see what happens with COVID. That, in my mind, is common sense. Okay. Sam, over to you.
Thank you, Teresa. I think you echoed the sentiments I expressed when I was last on the sister show to this one the other day, with Sterling and Dwayne. That is exactly the position that I take with the matter. Sufficient unto the day that we know what the economic impact, and this is nothing new, we've said this time and time again, until we know what the economic and the socio-economic impact of wholesale licensure of overseas law practice that has hitherto operated outside the islands with the counsel and procurement of such practice by local partnerships, which is a criminal offence under the legal practitioners law, albeit with a very small fine, $200. That's one of the things that needs to be changed. So I suppose I should start by saying that, first of all, Teresa and I belong to the Association of Legal Professionals and Advocates, ALPA.
Okay.
We have a small membership, about 20 or 21, and that's slowly growing. Caymanian lawyers who belong to firms of 5 or less. Most of us are sole practitioners or belong to offices that have 1 or 2 persons working in them. And we formed that association back in March of 2019 because we believed we needed representation. And that need has proven that our concerns have come to fruition. And I'll talk more about that in a bit. But for now, that is who we are representing. Generally speaking, we have obviously our personal views. But our concerns are, as Teresa's indicated, that whilst I believe everyone in the profession now generally supports the advancement of the legislative framework, we all recognize we need some modern legislation. And we have taken that position before. We've been here before a number of times now, which is why it befuddles me as to why the government is going about this the way they're going about it again. Because the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I think Einstein said that.
And here we are again, being confronted right before Christmas, because this is when you pass controversial legislation in this jurisdiction, apparently. That's what happened with the National Conservation Law and the last Legal Practitioners Law. Which, by the way, this legislation is simply, as I said the other day, a rebranded. I suppose the Legal Practitioners Bill has such a pejorative ring to it now that they decided it needed a new label, so they've called it a Legal Services Bill. But it's pretty much the same thing by a different name.
Okay.
Now, here we are again being told, look, we need to advance the legislation. Here, we're given a very short window, which we have made the best of. We are in the advanced stages of reviewing the bill. And as I think anyone would understand, as lawyers, it's all fine and well to say we accept and agree to the general principles advanced in legislation. But we as lawyers full well know the devil is always in the detail. And we would be very shoddy lawyers if we didn't drill down into the minutiae of the bill and see what's there. Mm-hmm. And that was, when we took a preliminary look at it, it looked like something that could work. And we said as much. But when we started to drill down into the detail and we started to consider things like the structure of the board and the myriad of conflicts of interest that might provoke, we started to realize, look, we need to take a more forensic approach to this thing, do it properly, and that is what ALPA has been doing. Teresa and I have met with the ALPA executive. Both of us are on the council of ALPA. We've met 3 times in the last 2 weeks for about 2 or 3 hours each to go through this thing. That's where we're at. We still don't feel we haven't been given adequate time, and we have not really had any discourse with the government. We had one meeting back in October of 2019 with the Premier, the Attorney General, and Minister Hugh. I believe that was a result of a meeting that I had with 3 other constituents of the Georgetown North constituency, with Mr. Hugh, his constituency. To represent to him, we had grievous concerns about what was going on with the so-called merger of the Bar Association and the Law Society, and what was going on with regards to anti-money laundering, how it was being handed over to this new entity that had been invented by the firms, etc. That at the meeting, which he arranged with the Premier and the AG, we gave our concerns. That those concerns have been minuted. There's no affidavits filed in the Grand Court, because what has happened since is we have had to litigate. Some of us in ALPA have had to litigate against SILPA and its imaginary regulatory authority, because that's what it calls itself. And to make a long story short, things have gone sideways. So we've gone from a position of where we were hoping to be engaged in earnest by the government, because that was what we were promised at that meeting in October of 2019. A situation where we were literally attacked. As we predicted, we, the small practitioners, have been scapegoated. I'm not afraid to say that. That is very apparent, because we dared to question, right, what they were doing, which anyone with any sense looking on from the inside, which is my concern for the country, when you do something that is apparently illegitimate and the world looks on and sees that, how do you think that resonates? Do you think that is the way to build credibility for jurisdiction? We go around the world paying probably millions of dollars promoting Cayman as an investment jurisdiction, etc. What those folks are going to start concluding, rightly so, is that we are a banana republic dressed up as something else. We intimated all of those concerns to the government. We also indicated we were concerned about the overseas practice that continues in breach of the law. And one of the concerns we had, based on the case, the Martin Pauline case, Martin Pauline being the lawyer who the Attorney General, our Attorney General, brought down here to represent the government for the Tempura investigation. Yes. He went back to the UK, was promptly disbarred by the UK Bar Association for holding himself out, because holding out is one of the worst forms of misconduct. That usually leads to it, and even if you you're an attorney in one jurisdiction, you hold yourself out as an attorney in another jurisdiction, which is what the Bar Association concluded he did. You can be disbarred from practice for life. Well, that is exactly what these folks are all doing overseas. Hundreds of them. We don't even know how many. one thing we know is, and we've looked at the websites of the large Georgetown firms, and we know that they have to this day, because we did this as recently as 2 days ago, partners listed as practicing Cayman law who never have had a practice certificate issued by the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
And the partners in the Cayman firm, the mother firm, as it were, or the sister firm, are complicit in that. And when you conspire to commit an offense in this jurisdiction, even if the offense is partly committed overseas, that's still a criminal offense. Our penal code has said that from its inception in 1976 or whenever it was passed. Now, that's what bothers me about all this. And we're told that under this new rebranded bill, what is going to happen is exactly what was proposed before. We are going to issue wholesale licensure for this practice in the form of just issue the practice certificates to these overseas lawyers, give them equal standing to Caymanian attorneys without doing any sort of fitness and propriety evaluation, right, as to their conduct hitherto, right? And then we're going to be able to regulate them, even though the Premier himself has expressed concerns about how do you regulate people overseas, because obviously there's practical implications there, right? As Teresa rightly said, there's no sort of established international committee between the Bar Association of Hong Kong, Mauritius, or any of these other places, Channel Islands, where we can call them and say, hey, Samuel Jackson is practicing law in your jurisdiction. Is he behaving himself? Yeah, has he been disbarred over there? Has he done anything wrong? Has he been committing criminal offenses? Anything actionable? We don't even have a network set up, let alone the procedures that would apply to that. So this is nothing short of sheer idiocy in the best of times, but particularly so, as Teresa adverted to, in a situation where we are in the middle of a global pandemic crisis, economic crisis caused by a pandemic, to put it correctly, that we don't know yet what the outcome will be. None of us know. No country on earth knows that right now. What we do know is, as Teresa rightly said, is that firms in the motherland, in London, for example, are contracting, laying off, making redundancies of experienced lawyers. They are going to be looking for somewhere else to practice. And what we want to do here is to create a legislated regime where we have a board that basically is expected to rubber stamp certificates. Actually, it's the clerk of court who issues the practice and certificates. So there's no real process at all to these folks who have been hitherto breaking our law, circumventing our immigration laws. I'll come back to that in a minute. And give them basically free rein to continue as if nothing has ever happened. But yet, we're told that this bill is badly needed. And when we ask people to focus on why is it that it's badly needed, the folks who are promoting it say, oh, well, we need to fix this overseas practice problem. Well, first of all, it's your problem that you created. It's an embarrassment to the jurisdiction. It's a huge jurisdictional risk. It exposes probably hundreds of thousands of clients by now to persons getting their hands on what would and should be privileged information that they share with these pretend lawyers. There's all sorts of problems that come from that. And we are supposed to just allow them to continue as nothing happened. And that's because the big firms have set it up, so it must be okay.
But
that's just not right.
They know it's not okay.
Of course, that's why they propose it.
But that's what grates me. We are officers of the law. That must mean something, OC. This behavior where we send the average little kid to jail for if he has a spliff, and look at the behavior at those who run this country. Sorry, I really messes with me.
But the last time this came up, I think Wayne sponsored it at the time. I paid for an opinion from England, and of course I was told
Mr.
Garrett, and he said it's illegal, internationally illegal, cross-border, and who is a specialist in cross-border law, and he opined that is illegal. You know, I was told that, well, he's practicing Cayman law overseas
by
then
giving
too.
you an opinion?
By giving me an opinion. I said it was an opinion. and you know, the Attorney General said, well, we disagreed. I said, so what? You can disagree with my opinion, but I'll disagree with yours too.
Well, it was table in house, and it wasn't properly refuted, was it?
No, it wasn't properly
I remember
refuted.
that.
Okay, have to take a commercial break. I believe we do have a caller as well. We will take that caller as soon as we return. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today, it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today. Stronger, wider, higher, lighter. The all-new Ford Ranger Raptor. Powerfully built with a 2.0 diesel Panther engine and 210 horsepower. Modern with leather interior, an 8-inch touchscreen, Sync 3 technology, and power features. Tough, built to handle the off-road with 4-wheel drive, terrain modes, and 10-speed automatic transmission. Coming early October to Vamped Motors, Walkers Road. To find out more and to test drive the bold new Ford Ranger Raptor, visit Vamped Motors, Walkers Road, or call 949-8288.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Men, it's time to be the best example we can be. If we wish to have a happier and healthier community, we must each take on the individual responsibility to be the change we wish to see in these 3 islands. Let's help each other when we are struggling and find the right support. Contact the Family Resource Center to find out what programs are available to help you become the best version of yourself. Contact the FRC at 949-0006 or email frc@gov.ky for more information.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We do have a caller on hold. Let's take the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to Mr. O.C. Good morning to Mr. McLean.
Good morning
to Mrs. Pitcairn, and good morning to Mr. Jackson. This is Johan Maxim. How's it going?
Good morning. How you doing?
Morning,
Johan.
I'll jump straight into it. You guys have given us, I think, a condensed version of history and a timeline as to how we got where we're at today. But I just had two basic questions that could probably help me better understand. I do believe Mr. McLean and Mrs. Pitcairn mentioned the fact that there was a bill, a similar bill, I think it was called the Legal Practitioners Bill in 2017, but that bill was pulled. So my first question is there any difference between that bill in 2017 that was pulled by the Premier and the current Legal Services Bill? And if there are any differences, what are they, if you can explain that? And the second question would be, you guys seem to be the standard bearers of the brave Caymanians in industry, although a lot of Caymanians complain and whinge and cry privately. But is there any sort of ability to reach a compromise position given the concerns of the big players and then the medium to small practitioners and so on and so forth? Because that'll kind of help us, I think, reach the end game. But I don't know exactly what the differences are between, or it's not clear to me what the differences are between the old bill from 4 years ago to this new one. Is it the same pig with new lipstick, or is it something completely different? So I'll leave you guys there. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll take a stab at that, OC, if you don't mind.
Sure.
To answer the question of what's the difference, the difference is obviously the label. This bill, in some ways, has less detailed provisions. Provisions are less prescriptive. But what bothers me as a lawyer is the lacunae. When you leave loopholes in legislation, especially when you have provisions crafted very carefully to hint at things, the leader of the opposition identified one a while ago, which was, or Ms. Pitcairn, I can't remember which, the provisions about the board, this new legal services board being able to co-opt or appoint subcommittees. We are very concerned about that, given recent history, that what will happen is we'll see this Silpa Cara entity sort of reform, metamorphosize into a committee of this, of legal standing finally, because one of the challenges we have leveled against them in court, which they are not going to be able to answer, is their legitimacy, right, or the lack thereof. So we have concerns, and the concerns come from, quite frankly, a position where we don't have any reason to trust anything that's come down the pike. So the differences in terms of the provisions, it's worded differently, it's labeled differently, but it is intended to achieve the same optimal objective, which is licensure of overseas practitioners. And if you need to understand how that works, right, it's you just look at the history of the matter. Every time, even the last time around, and Mr. McLean can confirm this, there were detailed negotiations about a compromise that were being negotiated in the back halls of the LA, where we were nearly there. The same thing occurred in 2012. I was party to that. I was called to a cabinet meeting room, met with all of the partners, and we got stuck on one thing: the ratio of overseas practitioners. And we were in a position then to agree, and it didn't happen because they didn't have their way. It's as simple as that. When the big firms don't have their way, they pick up their ball and go home. And the government, for some reason, capitulates and says, then they come back, they pull the bill and then come back and say, we blockaded it. We didn't blockade anything. We want proper legislation more than anyone else. And we want some accountability for these folks. One of the things this bill lacks is any sort of accountability for law firms and or their partners, any sort of secondary offense provisions, penal sanction for people who aid, abet, counsel, and procure the commission of offenses or breaches of the law. None of that is there. And I'm telling you that that's deliberate. So this bill is less detailed, and that suits their design. What it does is get these overseas practices licensed. And I want to give what I think is a useful analogy, because the essence of what we have been confronted with is a situation where, there's all of these hundreds of people overseas doing this thing. They've been doing it for 15 years. Therefore, we can't do anything about it because extra jurisdictional, to use Mr. Panton's favorite term. So we can't do anything about that. But what we should do is license them. Then we have control of them. Well, the idiocy of that can be demonstrated by one simple analogy. If you have a problem with the prevalence of burglaries, for example, right? And you say, well, you know what? We have too many burglaries and we have not enough police. And the best thing to do to make that situation go away is legitimize burglary.
Or let everybody leave their door open.
Yeah. Yes. And then we move on.
Analogy.
and that is the level of insanity we're confronted, and it's worse than burglary because burglars usually take just what they find in a house. What we're talking about here is the economic destruction. Ultimately, the economic destruction of this country. Make no mistake, these folks are here to milk what they can out of this country. All of them have enjoyed the largesse of this jurisdiction for far too long. They've made far more money than they would make where they came from. Being very blunt about it, the majority of them. And that's why they're here. And they don't really care about Cayman. It's a flag of convenience. It provides untold opportunity for them. And that if they get the opportunity now to legitimize an enterprise where they can keep a anchor office in Cayman, employ a handful of Caymanians in that to meet our local immigration law, but to circumvent that immigration law by employing lawyers and support staff overseas in those satellite offices, how is it that it's not readily apparent that that is bad for the economics of the Cayman Islands? That's just insane. And for us to contemplate that in the past was bad enough, but to do it now in the context when we're in the middle of a pandemic, when the world is literally locked down, the entire currencies are uncertain, the futures of major economies are uncertain. How can do we really believe that we're that special that we will be able to support something like this legislatively and get away with it and be able to recover in the future somehow? From what? From the trickle down effect, the Reaganomics of it, or what? Mm-hmm. Where there won't be any trickle down in terms of jobs for local support staff if the majority of the operatives are overseas.
It'll be an outflow rather than a trickle down.
and look, that's what destroyed the American economy, right? Outsourcing of automotive jobs, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. We hear that debate every day. What Clinton did with NAFTA, before that, the outsourcing of jobs to China. And we want to go down that same road with the most lucrative jobs in Cayman, right? Practice of law. And there's simply no future in this. And to Teresa's point, and to answer Johan's second question, there is a compromise. There's a very easy compromise. We pass the legislative framework without those provisions in it, and we promise, as the government, and I say we, I mean the government, promises to do what I believe its constitutional duty dictates, and that is to do a proper, independent economic evaluation of the impact of this in the past, and to do a projection for what the impact will be in the future. And only then can we make an informed decision about whether we want to go down this path or not, to license these overseas practices, because no one else does it. Why do we want to be the guinea pig for that?
Exactly.
Just because to benefit a handful of people in Georgetown.
Okay. We have a caller and we have to take a commercial break. Which one do we want to take first, the caller or the break? We'll take the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record. Let's take the commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
No, man. My bills seem huge again, and I don't know what to do about it. I gotta look some help.
We can help. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure has teamed up with CUC to give you the chance to win a home energy makeover worth up to $20,000. Not only will this lower your utility bills, it will increase your home's value. We are also giving away 8 home energy audits worth up to $1,900 each. Open to all homeowners in Grand Cayman. Entry is now open via www.energy.gov.ky/competition. Proudly sponsored by CEL Cooling, Mitsubishi, Phone Pros, Cooling Pros, and more. Use less, save more. Enter today.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't miss the best bargain on island. That's right, the car boot sale at the Agricultural Society grounds on Lauderdale Road, Savannah, this Saturday at the 28th at 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. That's this Saturday from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. $2 entry for adults. Kids are free if you're under 13. Breakfast and lunch will be available and be on sale. Vendors, of course, car space is available, only $25. Tables are covered also in this event. Deadline to book your vendor space is this Friday at 5 p.m. For further information, please email 345agriculture@gmail.com. Once again, it's the car boot sale at the Agricultural Society grounds this Saturday.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio. Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop,
dancehall, urban gospel.
The Super Jam Show is
brought to you by these kind sponsors.
The Cayman Islands Football Association, CIFA, building a better future for Cayman football.
Cayman Insurance Center. Don't take chances with your family's future.
Dragon Inn Restaurant in Countryside Plaza. Dine in or call 947-1166 to place your order. And the University of the West Indies Open Campus.
Find your place in the Cayman Dream today. The UWI Open Campus, on-site, online, and on demand.
Visit open.uwi.edu. Call them today at 946-8322.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. One of our listeners has written in and said, good morning. Thank you both for coming on to discuss this very important topic. There is so much against us as Caymanians now. Why would they invite competition on a global scale against us? She said, Caymanian lawyers are outnumbered in the legal industry here. I am now paying more than 11,000 Cayman dollars for my practice certificate to compete against the world from within my own jurisdiction. So that person sent that comment to us as well. Based on what I'm hearing, at some point in time, I would ask of you to explain the consequences, the ramifications of using legislation to make an illegal act legal. It sounds so Trumpian. That's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, let me briefly touch on that. Legislation should never be retroactively made from a retroactive perspective. But sometimes what happens is we put in there that all acts done before are considered to be not against this law. So in essence, that's retroactive. But that's not put in here. That provision has not been put in either one of these bills.
So that would include illegal acts as well?
No, not illegal acts. Okay, legal acts.
Okay.
That would constitute it not being against that piece of legislation. Okay, and we'll do that. But if it's illegal, you can't legitimize it through legislation.
I think a caller has returned. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning to you guys.
Morning.
Well, because it before that, some members of Parliament in England were mentioning about becoming members of our Legislative Assembly, which is now Parliament. In the future, if they do decide that that's what they want to do, are we able to stop that and continue being a British overseas territory?
I didn't get all that.
Can you repeat the question again?
Okay. Members of Parliament in England mentioned before, a few of them, concerning being members of the Legislative Assembly in the Cayman Islands or British overseas territories. And in the future, if they decide to do that, are we able to stop that being a British overseas territory?
And you talk about members of the United Kingdom Parliament being able to be members of our legislature. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I understand.
No, just...
You're talking about residents, permanent residents, and non-Caymanians.
Citizens of England.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we able to stop them from doing that and continue being a British overseas territory?
Citizens being a member of our Parliament?
And bear in mind, caller, that we have Section 81 and Section 125 of our Constitution, where the United Kingdom can legislate for the Cayman Islands. With that being in place, we have to admit, even though some may not want to admit that the United Kingdom government can do anything that they want with the Cayman Islands. And other than being challenged legally or challenged in an international setting, because we're an overseas territory, they can literally do everything. The decision has to be made by the people of the Cayman Islands whether or not they want to remain an overseas territory or whether or not they want to move on constitutionally so that they have full control over our own affairs. Mr.
Okay, I have another question.
Go ahead.
Okay. If you have a referendum concerning being independent, and the vote in the referendum comes as close as the vote was in England when they decided to no longer be part of the European Union. If the vote comes that close as they did in England, that we decided not to continue being a British overseas territory, would it still be passed?
If it's a binding referendum, yes. And remember the whole issue of a people-initiated referendum, 50% plus one of persons registered would carry it. So it depends on whether or not it is a binding referendum, whether or not it is an advisory referendum as well.
OC.
Go right ahead.
1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute. Every referendum has parameters that are set by the governing body at the time, and in the case of a referendum to change our constitutional status, there are specific requirements in the Constitution, and it says there must be a referendum to do so. if there is any question as to whether or not we need to change this. And the people must participate in that question.
But I'm not sure that the Constitution says whether or not it has to be a people-initiated referendum or
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If there is going to be a change in our status, our constitutional status, then there must be a referendum. It's specific about that. Then parameters will be set, whether it is 66% of the people or 50% plus one of the people. And once that has been achieved in any referendum, then that is binding on whomever that is.
So you would have a referendum law that is crafted specifically
you would craft a referendum law specific with those parameters. Who can vote, what day they can vote, what are the percentage that needs to vote yea or nay, just like we did the last one, okay, for the doc. There's no difference in that.
Okay.
No difference in that.
All right, we have 2 minutes before we go to our headline news. If anything else that anyone can add in 2 minutes.
Just let me say that. I have concerns about this bill, and I've expressed them to the Premier and the Chief, what's his name? Attorney General, most recent yesterday. There are some fundamental problems I have with this, and I've been having this for a very long time, and they know that. For instance, years ago, they proposed that the Chief Justice get involved in the legal practitioners bill, law. And I refuse to support that. They are now coming back with that.
You mean as part of the regulator?
As part of the regulator. Listen, OC, during the domestic partnership bill, I moved a motion that we appeal the Chief Justice's decision. That is no slight on him. That is my prerogative. It has nothing to do with him personally. And I'm sure he does not hold that against me. That's my right. But I certainly do not want my Chief Justice, whatever people think that mine and his relationship is, there should be some distance between mine and his professional relationship. But regardless, I do not want my Chief Justice nor my Attorney General exposed to every lawyer being able to sue them. No, I'm not going to stand for that on the floor of the Legislative Assembly. They must be removed. They have a constitutional responsibility and a job to do for the governance of this country.
For the administration of justice.
The administration of justice.
Constitutionally can't work because
it cannot work.
You have to bring a constitutional action under Section 26(1) to the Grand Court.
And they're the two most important constitutions.
Of course.
So it's nothing to do with the person, it's the office.
Yes. When the accountants came forward and are self-regulated, and now where a lawyer is fighting to say this one got do this against me and that one got, they all need to come together and self-regulate and be on this board. The alternative is to bring people in, law professors from these universities all in the Caribbean or wherever, and make them regulate on it.
Top of the hour, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after headline news.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The government reports 270 COVID-19 test results have been carried out since Wednesday. All came back negative. The government in the UK has asked the regulator to assess the Oxford AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine, bringing the UK one step closer to a possible rollout. The referral to the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency marked a, quote, significant first step in getting the vaccine approved for deployment. Follows news that the vaccine was, quote, highly effective in advanced trials. The UK government has pre-ordered 100 million doses of the Oxford vaccine. Taiwan's opposition legislators have thrown pig entrails and exchanged blows in parliament amid a heated row over the easing of U.S. pork imports. They say a recent government decision to allow the importation of U.S. pork containing ractopamine, an additive banned for pig use in Taiwan and the European Union, is a health threat. The ruling party denies the charge and called for a return to rational debate. Lawmakers from Taiwan's main opposition party hurled buckets of pig intestines towards the premier on Friday to stop him from taking questions in Parliament. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Arden McLean, Attorney Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, Attorney Mr. Sam Jackson. We have two callers. We're going to take those two callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you? And good morning to all your guests in your studio.
Morning.
Morning, Doc.
It seems to me that with all of the knowledge that we say that we have, and all of the wealth that we say that we have accumulated, we're worse off than the people who came before us. At least in 1969, when they had the first legal practitioners bill, all of those people who were practicing as law agents protected their interests.
Yeah.
They protected their interests. Mm-hmm. Those were different kind of men. And they stood together in unity to protect their interests, to get a piece of the pie. Today we are their offsprings, and we cannot even support one another. To me, I don't articulate much about this because I sort of withdrew from the limelight because when I saw what was going on in 1988, I drafted the first memorandum or articles of the law of the Cayman Bar Association, and I remember how hard it was to get that done. With the 5 or 6 members as it was that started that, myself, Ormond Panton, Orin Marion, Peter Pollock, Mr. Levy, and so forth. I remember that. I remember how the expatriate lawyers came to us and tried to stop us from forming the Bar Association, and they said that there was no need for 2 associations in Cayman, and they were quite adamant. Why do you need a Cayman Bar Association? Well, you know the rest. So, in our own camp, we had people who were disparaging and undermining and trying to get rid of the Bar Association for years and years and years and years. When I held a strong hand with it as his president, they came to see me to the same thing. Let's amalgamate, because we had made some inroads into protecting the Caymanian lawyers, and especially those who came out of the law school. Because one reason we had the law school then, why it started, was because the Umrod Agreement in 1978 dictated that you could not come to do the bar exams in England unless you had a prior English law degree, and a lot of people in Cayman at that time did not have the money to go to England to study for a law degree, and so they formulated a bar association where they could get the degree in Cayman from a university in England, which the one they chose was Liverpool, and the expatriate lawyers refused to acknowledge those degrees to those people for years and years and years. They had some of them that they hired, and this is what they stated. They stated that we hire them and give them a office in a corner in our office just to appease the Caymanian government.
Some of them said it was the cost of doing business in the Cayman Islands.
Yes, I remember that quote. Yes, and what those same people did to us, to the other ones, they went and because they accepted that the people who were employing them and the blue-eyed people from Europe and other places, New Zealand and Australia and South Africa, where they came from, were better than we were and were superior, and they capitulated. And then what they did, they one by one, they capitulated for the few dollars more they were getting, and so they destroyed the Caymanian Bar Association, who was formed, who stood up for them. And today, this is what we got. You know, history is a bitch, and when the chickens come home to roost, everybody is crying now. But they forgot that the groundwork was set, and we saw all of this come in, and we spoke about it. But greed and money.
Let me say, a few years ago, we were discussing this matter on the floor there, and the now premier, we were in the opposition, I think. He said then that in the context of the lawyers at the time, and the future lawyers, he said he didn't have any dog in the fight. And I made it very clear that there are many dogs. Future generations are my dogs in this fight. And they need teeth in their mouth too. And I have maintained that. My political career has been taken up by this law to make sure I have more papers, more iterations of this bill.
That's true.
And I can show any human being on earth the research that I have done. And I got everything marked and highlighted, and something needs to be done. No, we all agree on that. But I too recall the many people who became, quote unquote, law clerks or lawyers, we were calling them, when we made the law. Warren Conley, Alan McLaughlin, pause, Alden's grandfather, Miss Anne, Mr. Ormond, Anton Button, all of those became law clerks, quote unquote, lawyers, because they were legislators and they grandfathered them in to be advocates in the courts. Okay? Now, if we can't take a lesson from that, then those of us, particularly those of us who were directly involved in it, then we are heading down the wrong path, or we have the wrong advocacy.
Caller?
Lesson from that, because in those days, the Caymanian people controlled the legislature. Today they don't. The Caymanian people vote does not control the country. The country is controlled by all of those other people from these same people now who's pushing their own law to benefit themselves and their families overseas and their friends overseas to make money from using the Cayman Islands as a tool to make money. That's the reason why.
What you think is so much? They use so much financial resources against me to rid this country of me. Rid the country of me, not rid the country of me. Rid them of me.
You see? So that's the problem. That's the problem. They control what goes on. And if the Caymanian people still believe that their vote controls and gives them power in this country, then that's very laughable, because it don't. And that's the reason why. And that's the reason why. And then you don't have enough Caymanians to sacrifice, because a lot of Caymanians forgot what sacrifice means. What sacrifice means.
True.
Because sacrifice means that if someone forces me without my will to run to Borden Town, it means that I will. If I had to cut off the only weapon that I have to cut off my foot is a smicing the nails, so I can't run to Borden Town. That's what sacrifice means. It means standing up and being counted.
Okay, caller.
Through thick and thin.
Okay,
and that's what it means.
Okay, caller. We want to grab the other caller before we go to our commercial break. Thank you very much, Doc, for that. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Chairman. Peter Schmidt here.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
I'm well, thank you, and I hope the same for you. I'd like to tell you a very short story. I make it as concise as I can. One day, while I was working for Cayman Airways, I had to ferry an airplane from Grand Cayman to Paris, France, and for delivery. We went to, my co-pilot and me went to, flew the airplane to France. We landed in Le Bourget, and south of the big airport, of course, where history has taken place many years ago. And we delivered the airplane. We took our stuff off the aircraft, and the people that received the airplane from us took us to the hotel. Next morning, I got a call from the new owners of the aircraft, and they asked me if I would be so kind, my crew and I would be so kind to fly the airplane over to Belgium, where some major work was going to be done on it. And after some back and forth, we agreed to do so. It was a short flight, about 45 minutes, and there was no problem. So we got ready to go and pre-flight the airplane and do what we had to do. And we got another call, and they say, very sorry, we cannot utilize your services because last night somebody changed the registration on the aircraft from a Cayman registration to a French registration, and as you are not licensed in France to fly an airplane, you cannot fly this airplane, even though we just flew it across the Atlantic to Paris and delivered it. And I think it has a relation to what you are discussing now.
That's very apropos. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that.
Except using using that analogy, what we're confronted here with is folks flying planes all over the place with licenses. We don't know whether they exist or not.
Right.
We don't know what they're going, who they're carrying, all that sort of stuff, and it's not just an issue. To back to the point raised by the leader of the opposition, OC, it's not just that we have issue with the proposals to license overseas lawyers wholesale, as I said. We also have other issues.
Yes.
For example, we have seen a major influx of overseas law firms, major law firms putting up satellite offices in Cayman, probably provoked by us doing the same thing to their home jurisdictions. So we have law firms coming from Dublin, Channel Islands, Bermuda, wherever. That used to take place every couple of years or so. And there were always detailed negotiations. I've been involved with one. I mean, I remember I helped set up Morant Cayman in 2004, myself and Mr. Raymond Alberga. And what we've seen lately is that progressively, that movement growing, right? There's now a number of small firms here whose ownership we know not. We don't know who actually owns them, whether they're all owned by lawyers. There's another discussion going on about whether lawyers and only lawyers should own and control law firms. But I think, by and large, the majority of the multinational ones are owned, I am reliably informed, by both lawyers and non-lawyers. And that all tells me one thing. If we are going to license, just like with any other industry, a business, a company, a going concern in this country to do business in this country, and worse yet, to license them, propose to license them to do business elsewhere in the name of this country, we better make damn sure that we know who they are, what they're doing, and they're fit and proper, and they're, especially in this age where we've had raft after raft after raft of legislative changes to the anti-money laundering legislation. We're told that we need to comply with this standard, and every time we set that standard, the CFATF moves the goalpost a little more. And I wonder, how is it that we local practitioners are held to such a high standard, as if we are Maples and Calder doing major institutional business across, cross-border business. And these firms come here and they set up themselves very easily here. We as a jurisdiction don't hold them accountable for nothing. And even in this new legislation, all that is required to obtain an operational license is to pay a fee.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep.
And it has
to
a
set up a form 1K man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is intended. That provision is intended to make firms like mine, or businesses like mine, be deemed to be a firm. Because I'm the sole owner of the firm, so it becomes a firm, right? Or even sole practitioners, people who have no one else in their office practicing law, they're deemed to be a firm. And I don't have a problem per se with that. What I have a problem with is this idea that we should continue down this road of just letting anybody in, right? Giving them license, and that must be predicated on that sort of national low self-esteem that Dr. McField spoke to a while ago. That we are supposed to presume that everyone that comes here is better than us. They do things better than us. So we don't need to hold their foot to the fire. We need to hold them accountable. Yeah. Just give them a license. They're great people. We want them here. And when they get here and they start taking our business away from our local lawyers, if they set themselves up so that jobs, they don't have to comply with the rules of the immigration set out under the immigration law regime, because they can then employ people overseas. They can also come here and spirit business away to their satellite offices or their home office, for that matter. If we don't regulate that, if we don't get real meaningful regulation in that regard, it's all lost anyway, whether we have overseas.
Gotta go to a commercial break. Gotta go to a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices. Ropers. Appliances, dishware, bulk foods, and so much more. With huge savings. Ropers is stocked for your hurricane supplies. Don't cut back on your needs. Cut back on your spending with Ropers. Your neighborhood store. Value. Integrity. Ropers Enterprises. 122 Industrial Way. Call 949-2511. Clean up your spending with Ropers. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
The Le Classique Black Friday sales event is on. That's right, Le Classique in the Strand Shopping Complex announces the jaw-dropping Black Friday sales event. Eye-popping deals on now. Every shoe, every bag, every backpack, every wallet is on sale at crazy Black Friday prices. The entire store is marked down 10 to 75% off. Sale on Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Don't miss this one, K-Man.
Fat Chance, featuring Harriet Vassal as Ma, Giovanni Ebanks as Dexter, Giselle Webb as Corrine, Patrick Lopez as Buddy, Priscilla Pucci as Wiggy, Isaac Rankin as Mr. Fredericks, Jaron Carter as Frederick, Leroy Holness as Wiggy's date, and Radio K-Man's Susan as Mrs. Stanton. Fat Chance. Don't miss Fat Chance on Radio K-Man every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. until December the 23rd, with a repeat of each week's episode airing every Saturday at 6:45 p.m. beginning on November 21st and ending on December 26th. A CNCF production, sponsored by Radio K-Man.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record in the studio with me, Honorable Arden McLean, Leader of the Opposition, Attorney Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, Attorney Mr. Sam Jackson. We have a caller. Before we go to the caller, one of our listeners has written in and said, just saying that a prescription written by a Jamaican or an American doctor who is not registered here cannot be filled unless a locally registered doctor countersigns. Let's go to the call, and I'll have you gentlemen, lady and gentlemen, comment on that when we return. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning, Mr. Connor and your guest. This is Gilbert McLean. I want to refer to something that was first told to me or said to me by a man that I have the greatest respect for and who was in the field of law as well. And he was a soldier on behalf of Cayman and Caymanians, namely Mr. Ormond Panton. It's a scripture, and it'll be very short. And after that, I would like to offer a few comments. It's taken from Isaiah chapter 1, verse 3. I read, "Cattle know who owns them, and donkeys know where their master feeds them. But that is more than my people Israel know. They don't understand at all." The other one that he quoted was, and this is verse 7, "Your country has been devastated and your cities have been burned to the ground. While you look on, foreigners take over your land and bring everything to ruin. Jerusalem alone is left, a city under siege, as defenseless as a watchman's hut in a vineyard or a shed in a cucumber field. If the Lord Almighty had not let some of the people survive, Jerusalem would have been totally destroyed, just as Sodom and Gomorrah." And the last two verses. "The city that once was faithful is behaving like a whore. At one time it was filled with righteous men, but now only murderers remain. Jerusalem, you were once like silver, but now you are worthless. You were like good wine, but now you are only water. Your leaders are rebels and friends of thieves, and they are always accepting gifts and bribes. They never defend the orphans in court or listen when widows present their case." Now, I don't know if any of you or the folks there think that those words have the slightest kind of resemblance to the country, our country that we live in nowadays. But just to comment on a few things, OC, I cannot comprehend how on earth that we in the Cayman Islands, lawyers in the Cayman Islands, can be satisfied with the situation of a law being passed in this country by politicians, and they are satisfied that people in Zanzibar can sit there and say they are practicing Cayman law by being so authorized through legislation here in Cayman. Back in 2017, what provoked me to enter the elections then was this same business about legal practitioners law. I am not a lawyer. I will never be a lawyer. But I listened to Ian Pageant Brown one day give a dissertation on things that he knew and researched. And he said that there was between $200 and $400 million being lost to Cayman because people in other parts of the world supposedly are sitting there practicing Cayman law to the disadvantage of the lawyers here in Cayman. What I have been hearing from then until now, and you good folks who are lawyers and the leader of an opposition, is that what is happening here now is illegal. My question is, why isn't it stopped? Not pass a law to make it legal. why hasn't it been stopped? The other question that comes to mind, if we are so minute in the world, which we're not because we got more lawyers than any other profession in the Cayman Islands, I guess close to 1,000 or better now, why don't we just make this thing an international matter that the world hears it to know the kind of illegality going on? Or is it okay to dodge in the corner, let it go on, and we chat about it and nothing is done? I have never heard, or I don't know, does Jamaica license lawyers over in wherever, England or Germany or wherever, and say that they're practicing Jamaican law?
No,
or
they
does
don't.
the US do it? Or does France do it?
No.
I don't know. But these are the questions that come to my mind, and I think logical thinking when I hear what is happening here in my country. You know, I wonder why Caymanian lawyers, and we got some that's not within the big firms that own and run this country and so on, why is it that they don't put on their nice-looking black suits and collars and so on and go and stand over there by the government administration and say to Premier Alden McLaughlin and all the others, listen, this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's illegal. It's not going to happen. But I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing more a debate on points of law which lawyers are trained to do and concepts and so forth and so on. But I am not hearing anything or any kind of, as it colloquially says, stand up there that this should stop, and it's not going to happen. If anything, cases should be brought against these firms who are practicing it, or those people who are elsewhere that are claiming to practice it. I thought it was some English lawyer during the time when we gave like $14 million during the thing with the former commissioner when various Caymanians and police officers were fired. I don't even remember the name of that particular event, because he was here supposedly practicing Cayman law.
Martin Pauline.
You know?
And that was Tempura.
Thank you. That is correct, Mr. McLean. You're absolutely right. And I would just end on this, Mr. Connor, and your guest.
Sure.
If lawyers can't defend themselves, who are trained to do that, these citizens like me and others got to go to
you can't trust them.
Professional help, then it seems like it's the end of any kind of hope. And I truly wonder, where is the self-esteem, where is the self-worth of us as a people, of the lawyers, of everybody who are prepared to not cry out against this situation?
Unless
the FATS shut us down, maybe that's the only way that it would be a difference. Maybe we'll have an insight into it as well.
Gilly.
Anyway, I thank you for listening, and they're my thoughts. And
all right, well, Gilly, it segues nicely into conflicts as to why the Cayman lawyers don't do anything. They are fearful of politicians because they don't know where that politician stands with the firms they're working with. Therefore, they can lose their job because they fear that they approach the wrong politician, and that politician go back and tell their employers what they have done, and they have spoken out against it. And that is one of the primary reasons Cayman lawyers do not speak out. Anywhere else in the world, they would be, like you say, put on their nice black suits and go and petition the government. But what needs to happen also is that we need to respect that they are our people. I mean, we created a law school to create Cayman lawyers, and we're selling them down the river. Now, I understand yesterday that there is no one seeking articleship that can't get it. that was that set me back on my heels, because based on what I've been hearing in the community, that's not the case. And I am saying is either I'm getting the wrong information or the government does not know what's going on.
Because before I came on this show, just to interject just quietly, I did a sort of because I deliberately, as you know, have stayed away from this for quite some time, and poor Sam has been taking it on since then. Sam invited me to get back involved just to, give it some. But people are saying exactly as you've said. They're concerned about the kind of conflict between the relationship between our leaders and those that are leaders in the fraternity. And I'm loath to actually give examples, but these are members of of cabinet, the people pinpoint who they're concerned about. So and it goes to the point that Steve was making about the value of our votes. We have all absorbed the messaging about our place through generations and where we're expected to be. We don't have no value. So Caymanians take the view, those that I have spoken to, and not on my phone because I'm afraid that people listen to my conversations. So I had to find different ways to communicate with them to find out what was going on.
Well, I'm not going to be that paranoid if I may.
That's not paranoia.
Okay.
That is a fact.
Commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record.
I'll see what else you do.
Yeah.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes, the smooth leather, the style. Ooh la la! With the Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzarama. Now is your chance to make that dream come through. Get your ticket for the Benzarama fundraiser at Lorna's Gas Station in Budden Town, West Bay Esso, Funky Tangs, Reflections, and South Coast Bar and Grill. As well at Event Pro. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzarama fundraiser supports site screening, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
The Benzarama drawing will take place December 5th. All Benzarama tickets bought earlier this year are still valid.
Whether you're finishing a new condo, upgrading your rental property, or simply renovating, make Roper's Enterprises your first stop. Quality furniture at a fraction of the price. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices. Roper's, your neighborhood store. Value, integrity. Roper's Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Your home deserves a quality finish. Visit their showroom or shop online at ropers.ky. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Digital is not a buzzword, it is a culture. At Digicel, we've made it our mission to enrich your digital lives. That's why we're bringing together more of all the experiences you love. The latest shows, the best of local and international music and radio, live sports, cloud storage, breaking news, HD video chats, and more. Welcome to Digital at Digicel, the Caribbean's fastest mobile network. Digicel, better together.
For the Record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio, the Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Arden McLean, Attorney Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, Attorney Mr. Sam Jackson. We do have one caller. Before we go to the caller, one person has written and said in relation to the topic of the Legal Services Bill, a foreign architect cannot submit certain building plans unless they are signed off by a local architect. So we're getting
No. Let me correct them.
Correct that then.
We had that in the law, and Court Tippets take it out.
That's true.
Oh, okay.
Court Tippets.
Okay.
The same one that they say coming back out again, you make him come.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning.
Your esteemed panel that's there today. I'm enjoying listening to them, but frightened at the same time. It's very informative. You know, 2 years ago, a video was produced called The Spider's Web, Britain's Second Empire. It's about the financial industry, and I suggest those that haven't seen it, go on YouTube. You can find it.
I've seen
read the supporting material about it, read the interviews, and read the background to it. But we're going through and parading and calling the Legislative Assembly a parliament, when in fact it is the UK that is driving this, because they need the Cayman to be the whipping boy for the City of London, to feed that London with information. And they don't care. They don't give a damn whether that information comes from Cayman or what they're wanting to do. And they're telling our legislature, our cabinet, and this is where the pressure is coming from. It's coming directly from the UK, telling the cabinet, you have to do this, and you have to bring it in, because we're figuring a way that we don't need the Cayman Islands to do it. All we need is the Cayman name to do it, and all the lawyers can sit in London. So all of these buildings that are being constructed are no longer going to be needed here. The Caymanian staff isn't needed here. And this is just the sham that they've been preparing us for, the stooge on the chess table. And our people are afraid to stand up and go out and stand up in hot sun. That's the only thing they understand, is when people take to the streets. That's why they have the army that we stupidly passed and allowed and brought into existence with 175 soldiers. That's what they are. The arms are on the way. They've ordered them. They're coming. They're taking away one of our Coast Guard boats to use for the army. These are the things that are happening before our very eyes, and our people are sleeping quietly. So I will talk softly today. I will not give you the usual shout, because what's the use of awakening people that have no intention, no backbone to fight for their own self, and they are allowing these thieves to come in and take away what the Caymanian ancestors, when the men were made out of steel and they sailed on wooden ships. We have gone where our people are paper, not we're on paper boats anymore. God bless you all. Take to the streets if you want any changes. God bless you. Bye. You're weak.
Thank you very much. One of our listeners has written in and said, after the apartheid regime in South Africa was dismantled, they had a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. They also point out that in Bermuda now we see that they have established a commission that deals with the a commission of inquiry for historic land losses, Tucker Town, and when the government and the legislators of the day took that land, and they're pointing out that they don't know whether or not it's going to be 10 years, 20 years, 50 years down the line, but we're going to have commissions looking at all of the injustices that have been allowed to be done to Caymanians, whether it be in the legal profession, whether or not it be in the medical profession, or whether it simply be for those persons who are in just ordinary jobs as well. That was their point.
It's good. It's a good point. I'd like to point out as well, in answer to the last caller's comments, that at the end of the debacle that ensued in 2017, where the government of the day withdrew the bill, the Legal Practitioners Bill 2016, I am aware, and Mr. McLean can confirm this, that a request for a commission of inquiry was sent, signed by 7 sitting members of Parliament.
That's right.
To the governor, requesting an investigation.
Led by myself.
Yeah.
So, that's right.
Yep.
I mean Winston. Winston.
Requesting an investigation into the overseas practices of the law firms, and in order to determine whether any illegal activity had occurred. It didn't propose to I saw the thing, so I know what it said. It didn't propose to make that conclusion. It simply called for an investigation. For some reason unknown to us, unless Mr. McLean has better information than I do, I'm sure he does. That was never taken up. That was never action. No one ever, and so I start to wonder when I hear Mr. Adams saying those things, that whether there's any truth in that, what some people might call paranoia. I've seen the Spiders Web documentary. I have my own views on it, and I think it is relevant to this. But for today's discussion, I'll leave that alone. But certainly, when you see that those institutions of power, those constitutional institutions of power, that's supposed to make sure that things are done properly and legally and all that, have absolutely no desire, for whatever reason, to investigate these things, to call people to account, to engage, to promote a pathway to truth and reconciliation. Because if it is what we believe it is, which is illegal, somebody has to be held accountable for it. And as you start to wonder if these folks are just too big to be held accountable.
But Sam,
they're too good or what?
To your point, I'm aware of a conversation, because I was in the presence of the persons when there was a conversation about exactly that. And a former partner in one of these firms says that has, and we'd been working with this particular person for a while, and the person said, well, maybe that is the way forward. Maybe that's where we start, because you can't have this gridlock ad nauseum. You must have some starting, and as I've said to you before, there must be some middle ground. Everybody's not going to get what they want, but we must find a place where we can have conversation devoid of emotion, devoid of shame and that sort of thing, and actually focus on what the problem is now and how we move forward, which is why when I came on board, I said at the very beginning of our conversation this morning, let us look at the issues that are non-contentional, because we all agree that something is necessary ASAP. The issues that evoke people's hair on their back, let's leave that, put that aside, and do a proper assessment, as my colleague has said, a proper infrastructural analysis to see how COVID is going to... We're not seeing the effect of COVID yet, OC. So let us see, and what we do have is evidence that people are actually...
Pick the low-hanging fruit. We have 2 callers on hold. We're going to take a commercial break. We promise we will take those last 2 calls for the morning. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today. Stronger, wider, higher, lighter. The all-new Ford Ranger Raptor. Powerfully built with a 2.0 diesel Panther engine and 210 horsepower. Modern with leather interior and 8-inch touchscreen, Sync 3 technology and power features. Tough, built to handle the off-road with 4-wheel drive, terrain modes, and a 10-speed automatic transmission. Coming early October to Vamped Motors, Walkers Road. To find out more and to test drive the bold new Ford Ranger Raptor, visit Vamped Motors, Walkers Road, or call 949-8288.
No, man. My bills seem huge again, and I don't know what to do about it. I gotta look some help.
We can help. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure has teamed up with CUC to give you the chance to win a home energy makeover worth up to $20,000. Not only will this lower your utility bills, it will increase your home's value. We are also giving away 8 home energy audits worth up to $1,900 each. Open to all homeowners in Grand Cayman. Entry is now open via www.energy.gov.ky/competition. Proudly sponsored by CEL Cooling, Mitsubishi, Phone Pros, Cooling Pros, and more. Use less, save more. Enter today.
Kirk Freeport's Black Friday weekend sale is bigger than ever, with up to 70% off an incredible selection of watches, jewelry, and accessories. Even better, Kirk Freeport is giving extended access to the sale all day Thursday through Monday. Find the sale at Bayshore Mall and Cardinal Avenue, or enjoy late night shopping at the Strand until 9 p.m. Get unbeatable discounts from brands including Roberto Coin, Swarovski, Bulgari, Masica, Doves, Ippolita, Lagos, Fossil, and many more. Plus, take an additional 10% off all non-branded sale merchandise. It's Black Friday all weekend at Kirk Freeport. Visit kirkfreeport.com for full details.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have 2 callers, the last 2 callers for the morning. One of our listeners has written in and said, don't forget what Shakespeare said in Henry VI, Part 2, Act 4, Scene 2. I say no more, folks. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, my dear?
I'm okay, cool. I got a new word this morning. Something. We're talking about what legal practitioners bill or something like that.
Yes.
This is not to say that I understand anything, but I understand when things don't seem right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my question is, I got 2 questions. I hope I get to all 2 of them.
Okay.
But number 1, how willing does it seem that these law firms, ergo the lawyers, who begin life in other jurisdictions and even professions in other jurisdictions, when they come to the Cayman Islands, how willing do they seem to be to regulate themselves and their profession, even to the standard of basic contract law? Because that's what it seems like to me. You sit down, you come up with an idea, and this is how it would work for everybody, good, bad, or indifferent. But it seems like that basic humanity is missing. And just listening to this conversation, it seems to me that something is horribly wrong here. It seems like the whole profession is rotten and very rotten to the core. I really don't know why it is that Caymanians can't get what they work for, what they deserve because they've worked for it, and what is theirs because they are Caymanians. I don't really understand. But anyway, we're attacking this discussion as if it's a new conversation, and somehow I don't think it's a new conversation. People have said this morning that it's not a new conversation, so I don't know, something seems to be wrong, and maybe lawyers, you lawyers cannot sit in your high towers and do this one, and I don't know why it is that Caymanians cannot band together and get something that our Caymanians deserve. Are we jealous of their education? Are we jealous of their achievement? I am not happy for everybody. I'm looking forward to my next generation. I'm a grandmother. And if we don't help each other today, there won't be enough of us around tomorrow to help my grandchildren. If I have to be selfish about it, then I will. And I think all of us should get on board and say, you know, we are here. We can't do anything because you all are the lawyers, but we can stand up. We can show up and we can stand up. We can carry a placard and we can talk. Let of us can talk. I can't. I'm sitting here and I'm like flabbergasted. I'm hearing this over and over again without paying much attention because I don't understand everything and I don't pay much attention. I'm just hearing it over and over again. And it seems like, where are the ethics? Where are the morals? This is the 21st century and we still expect to bully people out of what is rightfully theirs. Anyway, cool. You know, I'm happy when I'm hearing you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. Let's grab the last caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, gentlemen. Number one from the back.
Morning, number one. How are you?
Morning, number one.
I'm not too hot, but I'm still listening to you.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to agree with the caller before the last when it comes to England. Every kind of law they want to put down here, every kind of pressure they want to put on us, that's just to please them up there. I don't care who is here, it could be from the Queen to the Prime Minister to the Governor here. That's all England is doing. Years ago when England came, I never had the money. You never hear England sending nothing down here. No. Only since banks and things come, the war ruin the place. That's how I feel about it. And I say, Caymanians, on to get up and stand up and make them say, yes. All you lawyers that think Caymanians, tell them, so we got to work through. Get up and open them out. If we got to go straight to the governor's office, we'll sign. Okay, sir?
Thank you.
England, if you hear me, tough luck.
Thank you very much, number one. Thank you. Panel,
I believe
opportunity to comment on the callers and closing comments at the same time.
I want to say generally, the people of this country are becoming more and more aware. That lady that called before the last caller, see, she doesn't understand some of it. She's not required to understand all of it. That job falls to the people that she voted for. That is the job that we hold. Unfortunately, when those of us who advocate on behalf of that lady are taken to task by the other side, they win. They win because they don't want us to open our mouth and embarrass them. Caymanians, by and large, and it's not unique to Cayman. Anywhere you go in the world, so don't think that there's something wrong with you by me saying Caymanians, by and large, are afraid. The only concern human beings have is their livelihood, their future, their way of life. And when they see that threatened by opening their mouth, then they back off. I didn't see it threatened. I gave up a very lucrative life to go into politics. I'm already committed to it. And my father always told me my mouth was going to get me in trouble anyway. But as a result of my mouth, no, my children suffers as a result. But that's okay. This country is theirs. And my father also told me, one at a time, do not take any more of my children in politics with you, or my offsprings, or their children. I never put anyone on a board. He said, one at a time. After you did, then another one can take over to avenge you or to follow in your footstep. But every time we stand up for to advocate on behalf of our people, and it is adverse to the wishes of those who come, who see our glory and don't know our story. They use their vast financial resources to take us out. And it happens every time, and we don't even realize it's happening. But when you reach the point that I have reached in this country, and I forever will be grateful to the people of East End in particular, and the people of this country in general, and the members of Parliament as well. When you have reached this point and you see it, you need to fight against it. And that's what I'm doing.
Okay, Misty?
Yeah, I think my closing commentary would be a little different in that the nature of the composition of our community, I'm usually careful with the way I try to talk about how we move forward. 2003 set the stage in my mind for what our community was going to look like. And it's a plethora of cultures that we embraced as Caymanians. Some people call them new Caymanians. What I would like, and this is me speaking personally and not on behalf of ALPA, is to find something that gets us out of this quagmire so that we move forward. Because this 2003, this is 17 years of my life I've given up on this one issue. And with the support of Sammy, and Arden has been the torchbearer, precious him, on this. We can find a solution. Everybody's not going to get what they want, but we need to also bring some people to Jesus, having some Jesus moments where we look at the truth. We say what the truth is, and, create an environment where, we rid it of shame. And like I said, but honesty and invite some honesty and integrity, because at the end of the day, and as I've said on many occasions, I measure the success of a community based on how it treats its old people, how it treats the children, and so on. And this conversation is about what we leave for our children to inherit.
Yeah, Mr. Salmon?
We always say that we need to leave a country better than we receive it for our children. But what about leaving better children for the future?
Mr. Salmon?
Thank you, Osi. I'd just like to say in closing that it is important to understand that this affects more than the legal profession.
Yes.
This not only sets the standard for other industries, because after all, if the lawyers can do it, or they can get away with doing it in the legal industry, they can get away with doing it anywhere else. If lawyers can't defend themselves, then who? I have mixed feelings, because it's hard to listen to a condemnation of the profession you belong to, but I understand the sentiments that along the lines of, if lawyers can't defend themselves, as Mr. McLean said a while ago, Mr. Gilbert McLean, then who can? Why are we worried about it? Well, because it goes beyond the legal profession. And I want to say this. What is really disappointing for me is that here we are again doing the same thing over again, as I said earlier, trying to achieve the same objectives for the benefit of a specific special interest group. And I would like the Premier and the Attorney General to explain, since they are the persons responsible for putting forward this bill and rushing it through Parliament, why is it that this comes back yet again? I didn't know serving the same masters that it was revealed that Mr. Panton was serving back in 2017. Why would the chief legal officer of this country bring legislation, right, that clearly embodies provisions that would tacitly forgive previous illicit conduct by the law firms? Is it that he has instructions? He likes to say he's a creature of instructions. I'm sure you heard that term.
Many times.
Is it that he has been instructed that they have to be forgiven? Those things have to be forgiven and forgotten, and now we have to move forward and not, not as if we could, right? And move forward with a regime where, for a few $1,000s more each, because that's all it is, it's $2,000 more to license those practitioners. They get the law firms get to forego paying a $16,000 to $32,000 a year work permit fee. You know the kind of debt that we've calculated it, the damage done to this country every year is in the tens of millions of dollars of lost revenues. That's what we've endured for the past 15 years at least.
You did a financial impact assessment?
Oh,
yes.
God, yeah.
As best we could, because we don't know the full extent of it.
That's right.
We only know the partners because they have to be listed on the law firm website, but we don't know about the other operatives that are pretending to practice game and
And
we are going forward with that. We want to now propose yet again to license that. As Teresa said, if the government is genuine in its initiative to progress the legal profession, why would it promote a bill that embodies that? Why not bring the legislative framework, create the regulatory authority, create it, by the way, in accordance with the new standard, which was implemented by the advent of the Public Authorities Law in June 1st, 2017. That's what all public authorities have to conform to now. Rather than creating this nebulous creature of a board normally when used in the context of a statute connotes a board of directors of a statutory authority. They've named this thing a board, put the Chief Justice and the AG on it, one person appointed by the Leader of the Opposition, one appointed by the Premier, and they say they've done that in the spirit of compromise, but they've created a creature, an aberration that has never been seen in this country before, and we don't know the implications of that yet because of constitutional actions, judicial review, with the Chief Justice and the AG. You know, there's a myriad of problems that flow from that, and if we can just get agreement on those things, I believe we can all embrace a bill, take forward a bill that advances the legal profession, and then, as Teresa said, in the future, after that most important, that imperative examination of the economic impact of this sort of practice has been done, because that's long overdue. We spend millions of dollars on all sorts of consultants figuring out all sorts of things, but why would we not want to see whether these firms have done us irreparable economic damage? Because we would have to hold them to account. If we don't get to that point, we will never get anywhere with this bill.
Okay. I just hope and I trust, and I'm not, that our legislators, those who intend to debate this bill when it comes to the Legislative Assembly, that they reach out to the experts to get some valuable talking points on this. It is important that this bill be clearly debated in the Legislative Assembly. Yes, it will be emotional, but we want it also to be factual. We want it to be clear. So I hope and I trust that our legislators will reach out to people like Mr. Sammy and Ms. Teresa to get some talking points, in this regard. Any comments on that, Mr. Leader of the Opposition?
Well, the others don't give us anything. So.
He's the best.
What do you mean, the best, Teresa? In the absence of a lawyer being on the opposition, as we currently stand.
Yeah.
My arms are stretched out all the time. But those who have their own personal interest in this want tens of thousands of dollars to advise me. I can only turn to these that offer.
I really wasn't referring I wasn't referring to you, but like I say, members, and I'm sure if they're not listening, their surrogates are listening, and I hope they take you up on this, because I will be listening to the debate as well.
The backroom meetings at the LA need to stop. They need to have transparency. Not because those things are very telling. When you hear that the current president of SILPA can call a meeting immediately in the back rooms of the LA of the Attorney General, the Premier, and other ministers, along with other so-called industry leaders, to have a discussion about the advent of a new law firm. Those sorts of things are very telling. And certainly we don't get that kind. ALPA doesn't get that kind of airtime. The local practitioners don't get that kind of airtime.
Certainly, that's the data.
We got to have to beg and wait to get a meeting. and then only to be told like, they can't do anything for us, and that we'll get back to you, and you don't worry, you'll be consulted, only to never be consulted.
Well, Sam, with all due respect to you and all concerned, that was the day that the Premier told me that you were supporting the bill. Which
was a lie.
Oh, I don't know.
I said that on the radio already. That was a lie.
Okay.
What did he tell you yesterday?
Because I called you and you said no. And then yesterday you said you were the only one publicly opposing this bill. So I don't know where we are.
I was at one point the only one opposing the last bill too. But when that groundswell came during Parliament and all those letters started pouring in about discriminatory acts and abuses in the law firms, all of a sudden the tide turned.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Courage is contagious, you know.
Yeah.
People will come forth.
Mm-hmm.
Just give it time. Yeah. But that is exactly why we've been given this very narrow window of consultation. That when you're talking about legislation of this kind of moment, you need to have proper, and folks need to drill down. And I say this to my colleagues, some of them who have disappointed to hear have basically given it a broad brush and gone and said to the AG, or the Premier, we think you can support it with a few tweaks. What are those tweaks though?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why not? You're lawyers, for God's sakes. Take a forensic approach. Look at it. You know that's not the sort of stuff you want to discuss in there, because it'll take you months. You sit down at your desk, go through it, and pick it to pieces. That's what I'm doing. And the whole world is going to see what I'm producing.
Before you leave, let me correct what I said there. I just remember, not only you and Johan as well, but Johan is not a practicing lawyer, and he's opposing it as well. You're the only two. Okay.
Because we went on the radio the other day and dared to say it.
Okay.
Something offensive.
Well, folks, I want to thank you all very much, folks. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always need to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want, or even those who crave, like some law firms. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by Ropers Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Products and services for better public health. Green Turtle. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today. And the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure. Visit energy.gov.ky/competition to win a